Can you spot the counterfeit? Let's find out. Here are a couple of my Boucher items I have in my collection. A little bit about the history of the company. Marcel Boucher, he had worked for Cartier as well as Trifari earlier in his career. He started his own company, simply titled Boucher, in the 30s in New York City. He started out with bird pins with lots of beautiful enameling and colored stones, and people seem to really respond to his art and workmanship. Everything was so well done that Saks Fifth Avenue in New York ended up ordering like $20,000 worth of jewelry in the 30s, which at that time was nothing short of a fortune, really. Anyway, he went on to create his own designs well into his later years in life, assisted by his wife, Sandra. He passed away in 1965, but Sandra continued to create jewelry for the company long into, I think it was the 1970s. So anyway, that's a little bit of history of Marcel Boucher. He's very well known for his enameling. I have these two pieces right here. One of these pieces is a legitimate Boucher, and the other one I thought was legitimate until I brought it home and took it for a closer look. So don't think that only fine jewelry gets copied. Know that in the costume jewelry world, a lot of the designers were knocked off as well. So looking at these two, at first glance, they look identical, with the one exception that this one has a safety chain and this one does not. However, when you're looking at costume jewelry, a lot of times safety chains can be missing, so never use that as a gauge to whether or not something is real or not. The enameling is quite well done on both of these pieces. They are similar size, similar shape, similar quality, but one of them is not a Boucher and the other one is. So let me have you just look at them, rotate them around. You can see. So if you were looking at jewelry and you had one of the original Bouchers of this piece and you saw one of these on the counter for a very, very low price, you would of course grab it. Here's the clasp. You can see that. Okay, so let's talk about the differences. If you guessed that this one is the fake, you are correct. This is the real one, the one that does happen to have the safety chain on it. So looking closer, let's talk about the safety chain. This one does not even have holes for a safety chain. So I'm not going to say that that is a reason to believe it's fake, because a lot of jewelry back then didn't have safety chains at all. But knowing that this is the legitimate one and it does have a safety chain, you would think that this one should as well. Looking closer, the shape is a little bit different. This one is a little bit more egg-shaped. This one is a little bit rounder. The clasps are pretty identical. Let me flip it this way because that's where the joint is. I don't know if you can see that very well. And they both have spots where this is where the number, this is the legitimate one, oops. The number of the design is right in there, and this one has a little area that looks like a plate where the number should be, but there's no number. And same thing on the other side. This one says Boucher. I don't know if I can get it to focus on that side. There we go. This one has Boucher written inside with a copyright sign. And this one has a plated area, but there's no writing on it. So this one, could you say it's an unmarked Boucher? Possibly, but here's the deal. Back when a lot of companies made jewelry for other companies, However, when they did that, like Boucher could have made this for Cartier, not Cartier, but another jewelry company of the time. But the new item that they made typically would be branded with that company's name. Because this one does not have any branding whatsoever, it kind of leads you to wonder, what's going on? Another thing that can happen is the company that designed the piece might sell the design or the mold to another company to manufacture as well, manufacture themselves. And that's probably what happened to this one. I was talking to Casey over at Olive's Vintage Market about it, and she was saying, well, there's a company named Sphinx that used to do that all the time. They would buy designs from, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Casey, but I think you were indicating that the company Sphinx would buy designs from other companies and manufacture them themselves. So it's kind of a knockoff. They're not claiming to be Boucher. That's why they take the name off of it. So it is a legitimate piece of jewelry, and it is a Boucher design, but it is not clearly a Boucher copyrighted piece. This one right here, the real one, belonged to my great aunt. I do know it's legit. The earrings are marked. They are Boucher pieces should be marked with the name and also the design number, and these ones most definitely are. And they are quite lovely. I haven't seen this particular enamel design much at all, and I haven't decided if I want to sell these yet. And then I also found this one in a mystery box that is marked Boucher with, let's see if I can get there we go, with the design number as well. Also has a safety chain. And looking at the very fine details, not that you're going to be able to do this on the spot because you need one to compare it to, but if you weigh this piece, it's 1.6 ounces, and if you weigh the other piece, it's 1.3 ounces. The safety chain does not make up, 0.3 ounces. So if you feel these, this one is definitely a little bit lighter. This one is a little heavier. You can kind of see on the edging that it's a little bit thicker too. Very hard to tell on the camera, but if you see it in person, it's definitely thicker. But that's a pretty darn good copy, don't you think? Even they got the striations in the enameling correct. The paint it's spot on. It really is. Like I said, if you didn't know, I thought when I bought this one, I saw it and I thought, oh, I have that one. It's got to be a Boucher. And I didn't have my glasses on, and I saw the little plate and I could see there's some little scratching on there. I thought, oh, it's got to be Boucher. And then when I got it home and looked at it through a loop, I'm like, oh, it doesn't say anything. And while we're on talking about Boucher, I just wanted to show you this little mechanical brooch. This piece is just lovely. It's a fairly unique piece. It's a book piece. It is a night and day mechanical brooch. Night and day meaning that these little petals open and close. Not all the way. It's got lovely detailing down here with rhinestones, which when you wear it, you wouldn't even see those rhinestones. So the attention to detail is just amazing on these pieces. It is signed, where is it signed? Signed Boucher on the stem, and then it's got its number right here. So I just wanted to share that with you. I've seen this one online listed for, I want to say it was $900. And somebody's dreaming if they're going to get $900. You never know. But I would say this one is probably valued around $300 to $600 possibly. And I found this at an estate sale for $2. Yeah. So once again, I do not know if I want to part with this one. I've been hanging on to it for a while. Did you do it? Did you spot the fake? I even hesitate to say that it's necessarily a fake. It's just not a copyrighted design from Boucher. It is the same design. It is the same mold. It is pretty much the same quality, but you couldn't sell it as a Boucher. Anyway, look out For the unmarked copies of original designs, and always look for those maker's marks, and always look for the integrity of the maker's marks. Sometimes there are unscrupulous companies that will legitimately try to knock off the design as well as have fake maker's marks on there. You've got to be careful. You've got to know what maker's marks are looking like. And you also have to look out in the fine jewelry world for fake stamped metals. I can't tell you how many times I've found silver items that are not silver. They're either alpaca or just some other base metal that are marked 925, and also lots and lots of counterfeit gold chains are coming out. I don't know where they're coming from, but they will be stamped Italy and stamped 14K, and they're not. So be aware, carry a magnet, test your metals when you get them home, and happy hunting. I'll see you in the next video.